Democrats hold the reins of power in Washington, and we are entering a crucial period that will determine what actually gets done. Here this morning to discuss that and a lot more is Congresswoman Annie Kuster. Thank you for joining us this morning, Representative.
Great to be with you, Adam. Thanks so much for having me.
So the last two times you've been on, we've kind of grilled you about the overall price tag for all of these big Democratic agenda items that are out there. Obviously, the infrastructure bill is going to pass, but what if nothing else gets done? What should voters take away from that if Democrats hold these majorities and then can't get all of their plans over the finish line?
Well, I don't think that voters need to worry, Adam. We are working on it right now, and we will be through the weekend. It's a very narrow difference at this point in terms of my colleagues that are holding out. And yes, we have to make tough decisions. These are your tax dollars, and I want to make sure we spend them wisely. So we won't get everything that's under discussion right now, but we'll get the core of this Build Back Better agenda. You know, look, families are just looking for a break on those everyday expenses. Childcare, one of the biggest issues for young families as they're trying to get started. And it's become a big issue in the workforce in New Hampshire. We need workers back in the economy. We want to make sure we help people that are caring for seniors at home. And we want to make sure that people have access to broadband wherever they are. You know, I keep saying COVID really pulled back the curtain on our economy and the underlying inequities, and we want to give everybody a fighting chance. So that's what that Build Back Better agenda is all about, and I'm quite confident that we're going to pass both these bills next week.
Do you support the president's plan to enforce a COVID-19 vaccine mandate on large businesses over 100 employees through OSHA?
I'm going to call you on this. WMUR calls it a vaccine mandate. It's an OSHA option. So what it's all about, keeping workers safe. And there's an option either to require vaccines, which many vaccines are already required. That's why we don't have diphtheria and pertussis and measles anymore. Or the employer has the option of testing. I don't think we've talked enough about testing, Adam. It's something that can really help us rein in COVID-19, get our lives back, get our economy back on track. And so, yes, I do support this OSHA option. I think it's very important. I would be anxious if I had children in my family under age 12 that could not be vaccinated, and I was required to come back into work with people who were not vaccinated or were not being tested. What we've all learned, sadly, this is a highly contagious pandemic, COVID-19, and especially this Delta variant. And so we've got to keep our workers safe. We've got to keep our community safe. I think it was the right move. And many employers have thanked the president and thanked us for that step.
So, Congresswoman, how far do you think this should eventually go? We know there's talk now about the potential for a vaccine requirement or a passport for domestic air travel. Is that something you'd support?
I would. I have to fly every week back and forth to my job in Washington. I had to fly 16 round trips before I even got the vaccine. And it is nerve-wracking for my family. I get tested regularly, so I can be sure to keep people safe. But I think that's not too much to ask to keep people safe. You don't have to go on an airplane. You get to make that choice. If you truly anti-vax, then you've got a different way to travel. You can go in your car. But look, these are happening in Europe. I just talked to a businessman who came back from Europe last week, and it's very common. They're showing their vaccine passports, they call it, over there on a regular basis for airlines, for restaurants, and they're bringing down the number of COVID-19 cases, and they're getting back on track. They don't have to be fighting over masks and the rest because they're able to safely go about their lives. And I think, look, that's the goal for us in New Hampshire. We've done a great job on vaccines. We're up to 80% of eligible people over the age of 12, but we still have a lot of people in our community that can't protect themselves yet, children most notably. People that are immune compromised that we want to protect. And we want everybody back to work, back to school, back to our lives. So let's work together. We can get vaccinated, we can do testing, we can wear masks, we can congregate outdoors. Let's keep everybody safe.
A lot of people are upset with the situation on the southern border right now, and Democrats joining in some of that outrage with the situation there in Texas with the way those Haitian migrants were treated as they were trying to cross. The vice president was among those saying she was disappointed by images of Border Patrol agents on horseback, seemingly trying to herd these people, keeping them away from the U.S. border there. Presumably, the migrant crisis on the border is not going to get better in the years ahead. You've got climate change, regional instability. So what is the answer? If Border Patrol agents shouldn't be on horseback doing those kinds of things there, how do you protect the border? Because it can't be open.
Well, I think what we got to do is anticipate these problems. So what I've read is that there were 10,000 or more Haitian migrants that had left their country actually several years ago, not recently. They've been living, I believe, down in Chile or parts of South America, and they had come together north. And typically, they would have been stopped at the Mexican southern border. I think we've got to work with Mexico, and now Mexico is getting engaged in this issue. The camp under the bridge has been cleaned up. People are being moved. But look, we need comprehensive immigration reform in our country so that we know who's welcome here and who does not have standing to immigrate or migrate as a refugee or an asylum seeker. I'll tell you this, Adam, the #1 issue as I traveled around my district throughout the month of August was workforce. And one of the issues around workforce relates to childcare and helping families get back into the workforce. But another big issue was we went for 4 years under the previous president with very low immigration. And what we know about our country is that we thrive on immigration. We need new workers. We need dishwashers and housekeepers and people who want to live in a free society, want to work hard, and want to come into our economy. We've got restaurants up north that are only open 2 or 3 days a week because we don't have enough workers. So let's pass comprehensive immigration reform. I support the bill that Kelly Ayotte and John McCain voted for in the Senate. Let's get that done.
This last week, you and the rest of the federal delegation held a joint news conference on the defunding of family planning providers in New Hampshire that also provide abortions. Both you and Senator Shaheen had some pretty choice words for Governor Chris Sununu. Seemed pretty fed up with him from what I could see there. Are you in the camp that thinks it's no longer acceptable for him to call himself pro-choice?
I agree. I mean, look, he cannot have it both ways. This is not a pro-choice governor. That's the bottom line. He, first of all, by the way, he voted against Planned Parenthood funding when he was on the executive council. So let's keep him honest. And number two, if you truly did not want more abortion, why would you support an executive council that voted to block hundreds of thousands of dollars in federal funding for family planning in New Hampshire? Now, here's what I know about my electorate, the constituents in the 2nd Congressional District. Over 2 out of 3 are pro-choice, pro-reproductive rights, letting the woman make that most personal, most private decision. And this governor, Governor Sununu, does not support that position. He signed into law a budget that included a bill to ban abortion in New Hampshire. That's the bottom line. He would send doctors to jail. And the reason this is on our minds now, Adam, is because the United States Supreme Court is going to decide squarely the Roe v. Wade precedent that has been in our lives for 50 years, legal, safe access to abortion. And this governor does not support that position. He would not have signed that bill into law, that ban on abortion. So the Supreme Court will take up the Mississippi case on December 1st, and by June, Roe v. Wade could be gone as the law of the land. I've lived 50 years of my life as in a world where abortion was safe, legal, and hopefully rare. And what I believe is that a woman needs to make that personal, private decision for herself so that she can be in the workforce, so that she can get an education, that she can lead her life and raise a family when she chooses to have children. That's the bottom line. I was an adoption attorney for 25 years. I have walked the walk. I have worked with birth mothers, over 300 of them, who made the most personal, private decision, and most of them would have chosen a termination of the pregnancy had they been able to do that, had they made that decision in a timely way. So I support Roe v. Wade. I believe it has served our country well. And I quote Justice Souter, 1992 in the Casey decision, "A generation of women have come to rely upon this precedent in their life decisions." And I just think Governor Sununu needs to be called on it. He should not have signed that bill. It was a terrible mistake on his part. His approval ratings have fallen 10 points just in the month of August. So I want to get the word out to voters. He's not pro-choice. He's not going to protect your full reproductive health. And I think it's an important decision.
Important to note that's a late-term abortion ban that New Hampshire passed, not a comprehensive abortion ban. Real quick, have you decided whether or not you're running for re-election in 2022?
Send doctors to jail, Adam. And I agree with you, yes, 24 weeks. But what's he going to do when the Supreme Court decides to take up Texas? That's 6 weeks. And by the way, 6 weeks, just so people understand, it goes back to the woman's last period. So you don't even know. That only gives you 2 weeks, one missed period. And I can tell you that is essentially a ban on abortion as we know it. Ask Governor Sununu where he stands on the Texas law.
Real quick, Congresswoman, running for re-election in 2022, will you be back?
I will, absolutely. And it's been great to be back in New Hampshire the month of August, get out on the campaign trail. We had a wonderful trip up to the North Country, and just seeing people in their communities doing the work that we do every single day, fighting for New Hampshire families.
All right, Congresswoman Annie Kuster from Washington, thank you for your time this morning on Close Up.
Great to be with you, Adam. Thanks so much. Be well. Stay safe, everyone.